there. For all you first-time home buyers, you're not going to want to miss this video.
So today we wanted to kind of touch base. We get a lot of questions about what it's like to be a first-time home buyer, or what it takes to be able to buy your first home. And there's a lot of misconceptions out there. We talk to people every day, and they think maybe they can't do it, whether it's financial or just their own inhibitions to it. And so we just wanted to create this video and walk you through what it's like, dispel a few myths that are out there, as well as then just give a quick overview of what it is to buy your first home, what that process looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the first misconceptions is that now is not the right time because of maybe interest rates, or my parents don't think it's good for me to do it right now, or whatever the case may be. But there's never a better time than today to buy your first home.
Right. I mean, when you look at things, every dollar you pay towards rent is a dollar you're not paying yourself. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at paying rent, that's 100% interest. And so you're paying somebody else's mortgage down when you are paying rent. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's times that, you might need to rent in your life and so forth, but the sooner you can get into actual home ownership and essentially paying yourself for your own rent, mm-hmm. or your own monthly mortgage, mm-hmm. You're starting that step and that pathway to building wealth and actually paying yourself back.
Exactly. And another myth or misconception is that you don't necessarily need 3 or 5% down to buy a property. Right. There are so many different creative ways that our lenders can work together with you or with any first-time home buyer to just make it work based on your personal circumstances.
Yeah, there's a lot of programs out there for first-time home buyers. They're geared directly and especially for the first-time home buyer to help you with some down payment. Down payment assistance is an amazing program, and it's not geared to just those very few people that make little money. I mean, you actually have to make an average or normal salary, to show that you can pay back that mortgage. But that down payment assistance gives you that money that if you don't have it all in the bank, it's basically a grant. A lot of times you don't have to pay it back ever. There are some programs that you pay back or have stipulations if you don't live in the house for a certain period of time. But there's options out there, and so many people don't know about it.
Exactly. And that's where we come in, because our job is to educate and connect you with the right lenders. We have a long list of preferred lenders, and they all have different expertise. And so if you are, even considering it, it's worth a conversation at the very least, just to get the ball started.
There's no harm in talking to somebody and getting some general information, and they'll tell you yes you can or no you can't, but they'll also walk you through a lot of different options and also help you devise a plan. So maybe today you don't quite qualify, or you don't have the very minimum you need, but they help you kind of figure out a game plan so that whether it's 6 months, a year, or whatnot, that you can work towards that. And if you're not working towards it and you don't know where you need to be, how are you ever going to get there?
Exactly. And the answer is really rarely no. It's not right now. And if you have like credit issues or whatever the case may be, it's so helpful just to know all the facts and then just have a plan of attack. If you have a goal, there's nothing better than having a plan to achieve it.
Exactly. One of the other things I think I hear sometimes is that, maybe the market's not good enough right now. I'm going to wait for that market to get better.
Yeah,
what do you think about
that? The last time, what was that statistic we saw about, like in 1971, somebody said, I'm not going to buy a house until interest rates come down. And I don't think they could have bought again until like 1994 or something crazy like that. And housing prices had tripled in that time frame.
Yeah, so the interest rate was lower at that point than it was in the 70s, but the house was 3 times as much.
Exactly.
And they spent all those years, waiting. 20, 30 years waiting and paying rent. So yeah, I mean, there's interesting things that happen within the market, but nothing's really that drastic typically. So it's all about what the numbers are for you as the buyer and what those look like. And there's no guarantee anytime in the near future it's going to get better or it's going to get worse or anything. So
I wish I had a crystal ball that would tell us that, of anybody who's telling you differently. But the good thing to know is that even in this adverse market, property still appreciated 1% year over year on average from 2022 to 2023, and more in the early part of the year, but even towards the end of the year when things kind of took a nosedive a little bit, there was still an appreciation. So you still would have paid more a year later in this environment.
Yeah, for sure. And I think another thing that I hear sometimes too is that people, like they can't afford their dream home. Well, You know, I got news for you. Most people don't buy their dream home first, second, and sometimes not even the third home they buy. So, you know, you got to take those baby steps to get to that dream home. You have to build that equity, you know, start off by maybe, you know, a condo or a smaller place, something like that, and build that equity so that you can get to your dream home. Because if you just keep renting, you may never get there.
Exactly. And we kind of live in a I want it right now society.
Yeah.
So that's
instant gratification.
Exactly. And I'm guilty.
That way.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I want it right now.
Yeah.
And when it comes to making the biggest purchase of your life, that's just not a realistic, you know, expectation unless you're extremely wealthy and you can afford everything that you want.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about the process now.
Okay.
You know, there's about 8 steps that go into getting to home ownership. I think the first and probably one of the most important is that you have to set your mind that you're ready to buy. Decide that today is the day that I'm going to start the process. So, you know, what does that process look like? But that's the first step that you kind of have that epiphany or aha moment that I'm ready.
This is happening.
Yep.
This is happening. My lease is expiring in 6 months and I want to be prepared, or I'm graduating.
Tired of living in mom's basement.
Yeah, exactly. I've got one in my basement right now, so get out. No. But yes, I think that's exactly right. It's a mindset for sure, because once you have that desire and that, like I said earlier, that objective and that goal, then it makes the process a lot easier because you know that's what you want.
And you're working towards a goal.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
for sure.
Yep.
So after you kind of make that decision, the next 2 steps kind of go hand in hand. You need to, 1, find a real estate agent to work with, preferably a realtor, and then also identify your lender so you can kind of start that financial analysis that we briefly touched on earlier with the fears and the misconceptions out there. So that way the realtor and the loan officer work hand in hand to help you reach this goal. And so, you know, it's important that they are working in tandem with each other and are in communication with each other. And it's really, really important that you find somebody who is trusted, knowledgeable. You know, you don't always want to just go online and go to www.mortgage.com company. You know, you want to find somebody that's local, that's a loan officer that you can go meet face to face with if you have a question or a problem.
Exactly.
You don't have to. A lot of it's done over the phone, on Zoom, things like that. But there is a lot of value to have somebody locally that you can connect with if there's an issue.
And that's true from a real estate agent or realtor perspective as well as a loan officer. We've seen the demise of several, you know, the huge real estate companies that, you know, tried to come into the Denver market and they failed because they weren't uber local. They didn't understand what was going on in the neighborhoods in Parker or Thornton or Aurora or Denver or Littleton. And so it's really important from our perspective that you hire someone who's local, who really knows the local market. And we always recommend that you talk to at least a couple people, because it's really important that you have a connection with the person you're going to be working with, because the process is no joke. Like, it's a long process, it's emotional, it's exciting, it's stressful, but our job is to make it not stressful for you. We take on all of that for you, or whoever it is that you decide to choose to help you buy your home.
Yeah, and having somebody local, you know, especially when you get to the point where you've identified properties and you're offering, you know, those local agents are going to know the intricacies of each market and each neighborhood and be able to guide you, you know, to what's maybe not out there just on the surface level, that they know by working that market on a daily basis that can really help you. So,
well, and oftentimes we know the agent on the sell side. We know the person who's selling the property because we've done work with them in the past, and that gives you leverage because we have a great relationship with them from other transactions that we've done together.
Most definitely.
So, and then as far as the lender goes, I agree. I think local is important, and it's also important to do the same thing. Shop. Make sure it's somebody that you're comfortable with. Make sure it's someone that you vibe with, because again, it's, you know, you're going to be giving them all of your information, all of your financials, complete exposure.
Yes, you are super vulnerable in that position because you are offering, you know, your financial history, what the money that's in your bank account. And so, but you have to do that to get there, and you want to be very honest with them and upfront, because they'll figure it out eventually. If there's something you're hiding that's going to keep you from getting a loan, they'll find it, and it's better that you know that now than when you get into the process. And so they'll review all your documents, everything like that. They'll let you know a price point that you're qualified for, what your monthly payment will be at that price point. You know, and a lot of people are qualified for a higher overall purchase price than what they're comfortable with for their monthly payment. So that's a conversation you'll have with the lender as well. And then once you kind of figure out all that and know you're qualified, where your budget is, then that's when you start working with us, and we go out and identify the properties that meet the criteria that you want. You know, how many bedrooms, part of town, obviously the price point, the amenities that a neighborhood offers.
Yeah. Do you want a pool? Do you want an HOA? Do you want a single family home? Do you want a condo? Do you want a townhome? I mean, so many different options, and it's a process as well. I mean, that sometimes can take a couple months just to figure out, like, what city do I want to live in,
and what you like when you walk into a house, and you know, you think you may not need a certain aspect, but then you see some houses that have it, and you decide, oh, I really want that. So we'll take you out, we'll look at houses, kind of let you get a feel for them, see if you can see yourself living in them, and then you actually jump in and we make the offer. So we talk, once you're like, this is the house, then we sit down and talk about what the list price is. Obviously, depending on what the market and even in that neighborhood market is doing, depends on whether you offer at list, a little over list, or if you can come in and offer a little less. And that's where, you know, us being experts in the market here know, like, that house has been on the market for a while, maybe we have a little play, or this neighborhood is so hot, we have to look at this house the day it comes on the market or the day after, and we have to go in with a strong offer. But that's where our expertise helps guide you in that, because your goal is to actually secure the house, and that's what, you know, we want to do, and we guide you.
Right, exactly. And then as far as the offer goes, I mean, the contracts that are involved are quite complex. Another thing that a real estate agent or a realtor does do for you is explains all the aspects of that contract, and it also can be overwhelming. And we had to go through a lot of training and testing and licensing in order to become experts in this industry. And so you will lean on us to make sure that you're protected, and you are fiduciary, like, you're our fiduciary responsibility, and we make sure that you're not getting taken advantage of in any way.
Right. As we fill out that contract for you and go through it with you and explain it to you and go over all the ins and outs of it, you know, then we submit it to the listing agent. There's usually a time frame involved for them to respond, and there's basically 3 things that they can do, the seller can do. They can either accept your offer as is written, counter your offer, and countering sometimes is price, sometimes dates. There's a whole slew of items in there that they can counter on, and then it's a negotiation again, or they can flat out decline your offer. So that's kind of where that takes you. But then once you're under contract, so let's celebrate, and your offer is accepted as is, and you know, that's when our process really kicks into gear. There are a ton of contractual deadlines that are in this contract that is our responsibility to make sure that we manage together.
We manage them for you. And there's, I think, 186 steps actually between the process of deciding to buy a house and actually closing on that property. So that's, I mean, where our value, it's where we provide the most value, is managing those 186 steps, making sure that you don't miss any deadlines. We just wanted to take a second and remind you of who we are. Michelle and I are living in Denver, Colorado. We are a real estate team here in the Denver metro area.
Yep. And we pride ourselves on being real estate experts and being your resource for anything and everything related to real estate. So make sure you subscribe to our channel, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We are here for you. Should we get to it?
Yeah, let's get back to it. And so first things first, the inspection. So currently every property that you make an offer on, you will probably have an inspection. What happens then is we have a list of inspectors. Again, you'll go through the list of 3 or 4 inspectors and decide which one that you're interested in. And we'll schedule an appointment for him or her to come and take a look at the property. And it takes them, it depends on the size of the property. Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. And you'll get a report.
They go through it with a fine-tooth comb.
Oh my gosh, it's insane. There's never a perfect inspection report.
No.
Even if you know.
Even on a brand new house. And that's an important point to bring up, because even on a brand new house, so many people think they don't need inspections on a brand new house. You do
yes.
because we're all human, right? The contractors make mistakes. They might hook up something incorrectly. They might miss something. So it's important regardless of the age of the home you're buying to have an inspection.
Yep, for sure. And then you get this report that's about 100 pages plus long. And again, our value. We help you go through the report. Usually they'll put like the, they'll have a red light, yellow light, green light kind of thing. So the red is something that's, oh my gosh, that's a health and safety issue. The yellow is, well, this is an issue, but
maybe more just a deferred maintenance type thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course the greens are good to go. Yeah, so that's that process for inspection. And then once you decide what you want resolved on an inspection, another contract comes into play. It's called an inspection objection, and we'll write it up for you. So the inspection objection contract basically outlines what you would like the seller to address prior to closing. So again, another opportunity for negotiation, because that goes to the seller's agent and he or she reviews it with seller. And the seller can say, nope, I'm not gonna do that, or yes, I'm gonna do that, or I'd rather give them $500 to, rectify that situation. So again, another complicated situation that we're more than happy to help you navigate.
Completely guide you through that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of the inspection. And then from there, then we have the appraisal. So that is not anything that you as a home buyer have to worry about, but that is something that the bank that you're getting your mortgage through will hire the appraiser.
Well, you have to pay for it, but
right, it's part of your loan fees.
Right.
But the bank actually sends their own appraiser out to make sure that what they're giving you the money for is valued at what they're giving you. So appraiser comes, walks through, you aren't there as a home buyer, and they analyze basically to make sure what the value of the home is matches at least what you're under contract for. So
we typically will meet the appraiser there. We don't talk with the appraiser. We just provide information to the appraiser, like comps specifically that justify the price of the home, or maybe justify that the home maybe isn't necessarily worth that much. It just depends on the situation, you know what I mean? But yeah, so we'll interact minimally and with providing information to the appraiser.
Yeah, just to make sure they have all the information that
is
the listing agent looked at to price the home, the homes that we looked at to come up with our offer price that we advise you on, to show that it's all, in line with what the market is bearing.
Right. Yeah. And because if that appraisal comes in below what was offered, that's a whole nother opportunity for negotiation, or it could end up in termination, right? Termination of the contract. So it's a very important aspect of the process.
Yeah. So let's assume that the appraisal comes back great and right in line with what our contracted price is. In between all of that, there's a lot of other things we talked about, contractual deadlines. You have to make sure that you can get insurance for the home and that it's priced at what you want. Your loan, you have to make sure you're fully approved for the loan. So there's other things that go into it, but we kind of just touched on like the big ticket items.
Right.
And so assuming all those other things have come through fine with our contractual deadlines, then we come to the closing date. So at the closing date, we usually, with you as the home buyer, go and do a final walkthrough on the house or the condo or the property to make sure that it's still in the same condition that it was when you saw it and wanted to put an offer in on it.
Make sure none of the pipes burst, or there hasn't been
a raging party that destroyed the house, those kinds of things.
Or they didn't take out like the copper pipes. So I mean, you wouldn't believe the things that happen in
there are some things.
But or squatters haven't taken up residence.
Right, that's happened to me once before.
I know.
Yeah, bad story. But and also just to make sure that if they were supposed to leave the refrigerator as part of the inclusions,
or the
that
washer
they did,
and dryer.
or the washer and dryer, or those types of things. Make sure they haven't painted a bedroom pink or something, and and then also to make sure that the inspection items, if they had agreed to fix anything, that they've given us receipts of proof of payment and completion. And then we also want to put our eyes on it and make sure that if there was a hole in the wall, they patched it, painted it appropriately, and it's to your satisfaction. So that's the purpose of the walkthrough. It takes about 10 minutes. It's not very long. You just do a quick buzz through and make sure. And then at that point, usually happens either the day before closing or the day of closing. And then from there, you go to the title company and
you sign away your life. No, I'm just kidding.
Feels like it.
Totally kidding.
Feels like it.
It
and
does.
Your hand cramps.
Yes.
Especially depending on the loan package.
Yes.
Because you sign your name. We should count sometime. How
We
many times
should.
you actually sign.
We should. I was at one the other day, and I think it was at least 100.
Oh yeah, I would say too.
Yeah.
That was the number I was going to say. We need to count the next one
Okay,
for
all
sure.
right.
But yeah, you sign, every document, every disclosure possible. The title agent will help walk through and explain those to you. The loan officer a lot of times will come and explain the loan documents to you. You've already seen most of them in your conversations with the loan officer, but again, it's just that making sure you're comfortable, making sure you're understanding what you're signing, because they are legal documents and you want to make sure you're signing them correctly, or that the information on there is correct and what you were expecting. And so, yeah, celebrate. You got the keys in your hand. You're ready to go.
Yep. Popping champagne and yeah.
Yeah, getting the moving trucks all in line. Yeah. One thing to think about though, between this whole process, you're going to go buy furniture. You're going to go buy things like that to fill the house. One very important piece of advice:
don't buy anything in between the time you go under contract and the time you close.
Don't quit your job.
Right.
First and foremost, and then don't buy anything. You don't want to. I know you want to go buy the new living room set or the dining room table or things like that, but the lender needs to see your finances at closing the same way they were when you started the process. So, don't do that. I know you're excited, but don't. But then once you do, once you close, you're free to go do all that.
Don't buy a new car. That's another thing that happened to me. Well, it almost happened to me. But yes, like just no big ticket items, furnitures, cars.
I actually had a client that bought a Mercedes. In the process of closing, his wife decided that she wanted a matching Mercedes, so they went and bought a second Mercedes. So 2 Mercedes in the process. 3 days before closing, the lender pulls their final check. They have too much debt now because they took out a loan. So their debt to income ratio was off skew and they couldn't close.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yes. So take it from us.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
No. And I wouldn't even buy a Pinto. Like, don't buy matching Pintos.
Right.
Even. Like, those were Mercedes, but don't buy anything.
Vespas or
anything. So yeah. So
that's funny.
But then the process isn't over once you close.
Oh no, it's not.
No.
So
home ownership is a wonderful thing.
It is.
But it does come with responsibility.
It totally
You want to
does.
protect that investment.
Absolutely. And you need to make sure you're maintaining the furnace and you're maintaining the lawn and making updates modest.
Basically just maintaining your property.
Sure.
I mean, yes, you can go in and you can remodel and that obviously helps your investment and pushes it up. But little things like Cheryl's talking about is just maintaining that so you don't have a bunch of deferred maintenance, because someday you may think you're going to live there forever, but someday you're going to want to sell.
Right.
And so, making sure that the windows stay caulked and the plumbing under the kitchen sink
isn't dripping.
And if you see an active drip, yeah, it sucks to call a plumber and it's going to probably be a couple $100.
Yeah.
But if you don't, the damage is going to be probably a couple $1,000.
Yeah, well, call us because we have a laundry list of
preferred vendors.
Yes, anything and everything you need done, and a lot of them are local. It's not necessarily through a business or that type of thing. So we can help you get it done affordably.
And we vetted them too. Like they don't go on our list just because they call us and say they want to be on our list.
Exactly.
We make sure that we've checked references. Now you never know. There's always accidents or things that happen, but these people are typically very well vetted through us, through our previous clients.
Yeah, and they've been working with us for 10 years. I mean, it's not like we just pulled them out of the yellow book. Yeah. Yellow pages. Is that even a thing anymore?
We didn't Google them.
No,
let's change that. We didn't Google them. We just showed our age.
My mom used to sell yellow page ads. It's so funny.
we aged ourselves.
That's all right.
We didn't Google them. They've been on our list. We've worked with them. So protect that investment because it's the biggest investment you'll probably ever make in your entire life. Yeah. And you really want to make sure you keep that value in place.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's kind of it.
Yeah, that sums it up. So subscribe, call us, text us, email us, whatever it is, however you want to contact us is perfectly cool with us.
Yep. Any questions you have, no matter how big or small, we are here for you as a resource. Even if you're not ready to buy, and you have questions, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We are here for you.
Absolutely. And comment below if you have any other questions. We have a lot of people that want more information and that type of thing, so it'd be helping you and other people that are watching our YouTube channel.
Yep.
All right, so we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Share the love.